Hey guys, Spencer here with Keystone Giant Pumpkins. Welcome back to this video all about the beginning of giant pumpkin growing season and how to properly start giant pumpkin seeds.
The first step of giant pumpkin seed starting is first off getting the seeds, and then at the beginning of the season, you're going to fill up a cup with warm water, about 80-85 degree water, and then just a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in it, which I have here. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take each of the seeds that you have, and you're going to soak it in the water for about 2 to 4 hours before you plant it in the pot. So the seeds I have this year is a 24-5 Guns, which is the PA state record. It's a great seed. The 1480 New, which is a great looking pumpkin and a good cross. The 1844 and a half Caspers, which is a great, beautiful pumpkin as well. Nice and orange. And of course, my seeds from last year, which I have about a billion of, the 636 Dales, which is also a very good, nice orange cross. So a lot of orange pumpkins this year. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, without further ado, let's begin the 2026 giant pumpkin growing season. Here's the first seed in the water. There's the new seed in the water. Here's the Caspers. And I'm doing 3 of the 636 Dale. It's my seed from last year in the water. And another thing I like to do, I like to put like some wet paper towel on top just to keep that seed submerged and under the water soaking. So I'll get that and do that in just a second. Alrighty, now we have all of our seeds properly soaking in the water and hydrogen peroxide mixture, fully under the water with the help of those paper towels. Though it's hard to see them in them, it does help a lot in the soaking. And just make sure you keep all of your seeds labeled because they're very easy to mix up. Pumpkin seeds look alike. I mean, I can tell apart like half the ones in there from each other. So just make sure you label them all and keep them all separate from each other throughout the whole seed starting and growing season process, just so you know what they are at the end. And yeah, I'll be back in about 4 hours to give you an update on that.
Alright, now that the giant pumpkin seeds have been soaking for a while, I have them right over here. Here's one. This is the 24-5 Gunstrom, the paper towel holding it down and everything. I'm going to show you all the supplies you need, or pretty much all the supplies. You can go even more than what I have here. It just gets expensive and complicated. But all the supplies you need to properly start these seeds. First off, pots. I have 3 that I got this year, just recently, and here are 3 ones from last year. They actually have still the old names on them from last year, from the seeds I grew. Um, but you want them anywhere from around a gallon to 2 gallons in size. These ones are closer to around a gallon. These ones are closer to 2 gallons. So these ones I'm going to be using for all the better seeds, and these ones for the intermediate. Most of the seeds I have this year are all like fairly good seeds. I'm just going to use what I have. But first off, you have the pots. And then the second thing you'll need, of course, is a seed starting mix. Here's just an organic seed starting mix. You want to have low um, low fertilizer and also like very like fine. You don't want big chunks of stuff in it. You want it to be mostly fine, smaller stuff in there. So you have some of that. You have azos, which is beneficial bacteria. This really helps out the plants and keeps them happy. These bacteria fix nitrogen in the roots and help the plant absorb a lot more nitrogen than it could without it. And of course, the mycorrhizal inoculant, which is a fungus that grows around the roots that's beneficial to it, and helps it absorb nutrients much better and absorb water better and just grow better in general. Um, then we have perlite here. This is like the white stuff that you see in the potting mixes all the time, and I like to add more of that to my soil when I mix it. just to add better drainage and prevent rotting or lack of oxygen or anything like that. And also Home Depot bucket or any bucket. I'm not specifically promoting Home Depot, but any 5-gallon bucket just to mix the soil, and it makes it a lot easier to mix the soil. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin. All right, first thing you're gonna want to do is get the Home Depot bucket here. Here, let me put this here so I can use my hands. Get the Home Depot bucket or 5-gallon bucket here. You're gonna take about the right amount of soil for the pots. So there's quite a few pots here. We have 6 of them, so it'll take a couple batches. So I can just pour it in like this. Let's just get all of the seed starting mix in there. And if you are doing this inside like me, you're going to want a tarp like this or something to protect your floor because you don't want dirt all over. And now that we have all the soil in there like that, it's gonna look like that. It looks like soil. Um, yeah, and then the first thing you're gonna want to do is just feel through it and see if there's any big chips like that left. You don't want that kind of stuff, even though it breaks up. You don't want anything in the way of the roots of your plants. You want it nice and smooth without any like big chunks like that blocking anything. That looks pretty good. And then next thing we're gonna do, take some of the beneficial bacteria, the azos. Take a tablespoonful of that because there's quite a bit of soil in here. Just plop that in, and a little more because we do have 2 gallons of soil in here. And then I usually just use the same scooper to also scoop some mycorrhizal to go in with it. Usually like 2 parts. This is just what I do, but 2 parts beneficial bacteria, 1 part inoculant. I don't think it really matters the most. The exact ratios of this stuff definitely matters with fertilizer, but not as much with beneficial bacteria and fungus. So now that you have that in there, it's going to look like that. And then you're going to want to get the perlite and add some of that in. For the people doing this for the first time, I would recommend doing just a little bit first, just so you don't overfill it. And the dust, it's not the best for you. It's just like any dust is. It's not the best to breathe. So you're gonna want to cover it with soil pretty soon, pretty quickly, so it doesn't kick up a bunch of dust. There actually was with vermiculite, which is different than perlite. In the 80s, there was asbestos that got into it, but now in the modern day, that doesn't happen anymore, and it's not as bad for you, but it's still not great to breathe dust, so try not to. After just a little bit of mixing, you're looking like that, which looks pretty good. You can see there's a little more perlite in there. Just add a little bit. I just want a little bit better drainage, just a little bit more. Maybe like that. With perlite, it doesn't have to be exact. You can go a little over, a little under, and it'll still be alright. The soil is pretty dry. It's been, that specific bag has been inside for a bit, so it's dried out. That's why there's so much more dust than there normally is. Now that looks really nice, like that. And that's just about the right amount of everything. Now the next step is just add water. Don't add your water after you don't like put the dry soil into the pot, plant your seed, and then add water. There's a very specific thing you have to do with the water for the giant pumpkins. I like to make like a little divot in the middle for the water to go in, just a bit in there. Since this is pretty dry, I'll add just a little more. And then we're gonna mix it. It's a very specific thing, specific amount of water that you want for the seeds to germinate the best and to avoid fungus, mold, and either too much or too little, or not really too much, just too little oxygen. Now the soil is getting a little more wet as I mix it, and there's less dust. There's a little pocket unmixed stuff there, but we're still mixing it until it's even. That's about even. And then what you're gonna do, you're gonna check how much moisture is in the soil. You want to grab a handful like that, and then just squeeze it as hard as you can. And if see that there's no water came out, that means it needs more water. So when you squeeze it, you want just like a drop of water to come off of it. Not much more than that, not much less. So let me add the little bit more water. See how we're looking now. After I mix this. Alright. Feels a little better. Let me take a look. No, still we need a lot more. Need more water. You want just a bit of water to come off. No, we don't have much more water here. I'm gonna cut now. I'll come back with some more water and we're back with some more water. I don't know why I didn't start with the full thing of water. Should have thought that out a little bit more before I started. Here's a little bit more water added in. Now you gotta be very careful with this because you can't really add too much because then it'll take forever to dry out the soil and get it back to the moisture level you want. But yeah, just do it like pour a little bit and check as many times as you want to get it right. Right here, let's check it. See where we're at. This is feeling a lot closer to where we should be. Yeah, that's good. You see that? Just about one drop of water comes out when you squeeze it really hard. Now I'm just gonna check one other. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit more. Check just one more time to make sure the soil's all mixed up and it's all like that, how it should be. See there too? Just a little bit of water. You squeeze it. So should be looking about like that. That's kind of hard to see because it's dark, but that amount of moisture is good. Here, let's just start with the 24/5 Gunstrom plant because that's the seed that I have right here. Well, I have the other ones right there too. It's just that one's the closest. So we'll add in the soil. Oh, another thing, when you're mixing the soil, I made this mistake, I think for the first 2 seasons that I started. Well, first like half a season and real season that I started. Never ever add fertilizers to seed starting mixes. When the pumpkins or any plant for that matter, first start out, like they'll sprout and they'll get all the nutrients that they need from the seed. And if you give more, it'll burn them. They're very susceptible to being burnt by fertilizer when they're young. So don't give them any fertilizer in their seed starting soil. Don't mix in any. It might say a little bit in the seed mix. That's fine if it's like very minimal amounts, but you never should add fertilizer to it. But what you should do is let it germinate in the soil, and then after the true leaves start coming out, which there's seed leaves, which are like those big fat round leaves which first come out, and then there's the more jagged triangular true leaves, which is the leaf that the plant actually has when it's older. That's when you can start giving water, fertilizer through the water. You just put a dissolved fertilizer in the water and feed it that way. Is it dripping through here? Oh yeah, it is here. Let me move the watering can just a second. Move that over there. And now the soil is just about the level that we want it. Just give it a little more. This is just going to be my example pot. And I'll do the other ones off camera and show you at the end. You want it just like a little bit from the top, like any plant you're doing, any plant you're potting, just about an inch or so from the top of the pot. Now that we have all that soil down, I'm gonna make a little hole for the seed. Let me just grab the seed real quick. It's in the water and the paper towel. There it is. It's been soaking for a bit, so it's nice and moist. I'm gonna put that right. You always put the point. This is where the root comes out. You want to put that straight down in there, and only about an inch of soil on top of it, and then just cover it. Gently pat around it. Just make sure everything's even. Have it gently pat down. And I'm going to put this in the grow tent and do the other ones, and I'll show you in just a second, like the setup that I have for germinating them in the pots and growing them. Okay guys, we're all done potting them up. We have all 6 pots in the grow tent now. 24 or 5 guns from over here. This is the 1844.5 Casper's 636 Dale, 636 Dale, 636 Dale, and the 1480 new. So yeah, that's all the pumpkin seeds we have for this year. This is a pretty basic kind of setup for starting them. Just some LED lights in a grow tent, and I have these hooked up to go on and off. And you won't really water the top of the plants anymore until after they've sprouted. You can kind of just mist them and keep them warm. But what I'll do is I'll seal up. I'll close the grow chamber here. I'll use the heat of these 2 lights, which gets pretty warm, and also sometimes if it needs it, a heat mat on top as well to keep it nice and warm in there. So it's nice and warm around 75 or 80 degrees. It's the best temperature for these seeds to germinate. And then after they germinate, I'll open up the tent during the day, have the fan going, get some air through there to strengthen the seedlings and keep the stems nice and strong. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for new videos. I'll be uploading throughout the whole season. This is just the beginning of it. I'll give short form updates on the growth of these plants. And yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Goodbye.